We're talking Tennessee Titans versus Minnesota Vikings. This is the deep dive, what we call the game plan. If you're new to this program, here's what we do. We talk about the key injuries for each team on the injury list at this point. We talk about key statistics. We talk about key gambler stats. I'll explain that when I get there. We talk about the keys to success for basically the game plan, the keys, the path to victory for the Tennessee Titans, the path to victory for the Minnesota Vikings, and then we also give you some daily fantasy and fantasy football projections for each team as well. Now, I want to remind everything, two key things here. Well, first, please like, comment, and subscribe. That always helps. But I'm not a fan of either team. I don't dislike either team. I literally put these together for my own gambling pursuits. So I'm just telling you how I see it. If you think I'm wrong, by all means, let me know. Comment below. I appreciate that. So let's just dig right in. Oh, and by the way, I know we're seeing a 2-0 and an 0-2 team. The reason I'm showcasing this game is, analytically speaking, it's a lot more interesting than you think. I'm a big believer in Tennessee. I think Tennessee is built for a playoff run and a deep playoff run, and I don't think last year was a fluke at all. I love the way Ryan Tannehill is playing the ball, Derrick Henry, this defense. I love Tennessee. I picked Minnesota to make the playoffs. I think Minnesota has a lot of talent. I've said all year long this was going to be a little bit of a moving target for their defense. They had a lot of turnover. That'll get Zimmer's a really good defensive coach. That'll get ratcheted up as we go into the season. So Minnesota's going to get better and better. This is a closer game than you might think between the two. Just because the records are 2-0 and 0-2, don't take that for granted. But let's talk about the key stats. I always like to show you position groupings versus position groupings. So we see the Tennessee passing offense is ranked 20th. The Minnesota ranked passing defense is 28th. Obviously, that goes towards the Titans. Now, passing defense for the Titans, 22nd. Minnesota, 31st passing offense. So passing-wise, you give the check mark over to Tennessee. Run offense, 13th for Tennessee, and they've been playing loaded boxes, so I actually think it's really going to be a little bit better than that. Versus the Minnesota Vikings, 28th ranked run defense, tick over into Tennessee. Run defense for Tennessee is 23rd. Run offense for Minnesota is 20th. Slight tick to Minnesota there, although I think they're going to be better. Minnesota has been seeing deficits early in the game. It's been taking Dalvin Cook. It's been taking this offense out of what they want to do. But again, pretty much you give the check mark across the board to Cleveland there, analytically speaking, just in terms of 2 weeks of action. I know we're only two weeks in, but let's look at the key gambler stats: the yards per play, the red zone percentages, so on. Offensive yards per play, 5.3 yards offensively for Tennessee, 6.1 given up for Minnesota. Those are those defensive issues that we've been talking about. But keep in mind, Minnesota has also started off the season with Indianapolis, who can move the ball, and Green Bay, who can move the ball. So take it with a grain of salt. But if you average these out, you're looking at basically 5.7 yards per play for Tennessee. Now, Minnesota, they get 5.8 yards per play. Defensively, Tennessee gives up 6 yards per play. Who has Tennessee played so far? Jacksonville and Denver. Jacksonville, I like their offense. Actually, I think they're underrated. Denver, So if you look at this and average those out, you see Tennessee's at an average of about 5.7 yards per play. Minnesota is at about an average of 5.9 yards per play. That is interesting because if you look historically, look against the spread, the yards per player is a very key indicator in how the game's going to be spread out. You see both teams are going to be able to get basically first downs. Both teams, analytically speaking, should get about the same amount of plays. So how efficient are these teams with those plays? Well, third down percentage, Tennessee's over 50% offensively. Minnesota's only at 33% offensively. It's because these receivers losing Diggs hurts. And, they're probably getting into more third and long situations. Cousins isn't converting them because the receivers aren't separating outside of maybe Adam Thielen. So that's a key indicator that Tennessee is playing more efficient ball, right? Fourth down percentages, I think it's too early in the season to really get a good, study on what this is, but Tennessee's converting at 100%. That doesn't shock me given that they can run or pass in any situation. Minnesota's giving up 2/3 of the time fourth down conversions, converted 0%. I'm not sure if that's literally a zero or if they haven't had a fourth down conversion yet. My guess is 0. Whereas Tennessee gets off the field about 45% of the time. You see they give up 56.5%. So again, slight ticks over here to Tennessee. You got the yards per play, slight ticks to Tennessee. Red zone touchdown percentage. Now last year I said when Ryan Tannehill took over, they're at 90%, and that is not sustainable. Early returns, 85.7% touchdown percentage for Tennessee, picking up right where they left off. That is massive. Tannehill is super efficient, incredible. Defensively for Minnesota, 50%. They give up half the time somebody gets in the red zone, they give it up a touchdown, and they're playing a better team in terms of efficiency. They have Derrick Henry. Teams that can run the ball and commit to the run are always better with red zone percentage because it gives you more looks to give the defense. It's measurable. It's across the board. If you can run the ball, you're better. And that's why I think Minnesota might be struggling a little bit, although I will say as bad as some of their analytics are, their touchdown percentage at 66%. It's not Tennessee good, but that's pretty good in the league. 2/3 of the time they're getting touchdowns. And defensively for Tennessee, they give up 75% of the time they give up a touchdown while in the red zone. So that stat, the 2/3 versus the 75% from Minnesota, that's in their favor. Then Tennessee, 85% versus Minnesota, 50%. They're pretty similar. So, the rankings and everything, 2 games into the season, you can, although Tennessee had the advantage, I kind of tossed them out the window. You look at yards per play, it's actually a slight advantage for Minnesota, believe it or not. You look at red zone percentage, if you average those things out right now, you're looking at about roughly 2/3 of the time Tennessee, you can expect this week 2 out of every 3 times. For Minnesota, it's like closer to about 70% of the time. So Minnesota actually has the better percentage there. But it's coming down to 3rd downs. It's coming down to 4th downs. And also, let me hit you with the turnover margin per game. Tennessee is at +1.5. Minnesota's at -1.5. They're not taking care of the football. That's a +3 turnover margin coming into the game. If you take it +1.5 and then -1.5, that's a factor of +3 for Tennessee. That's massive. So you know that Minnesota has to take care of the ball. They're not playing really efficiently on 3rd downs, and they need to take care of the ball. So those are two keys there. But let me get you through the keys to success. I just gave you a little bit of them. But Tennessee, how they win? Red zone touchdown percentage has been nuts. Just keep doing what you're doing. Do what you do. Derrick Henry. I don't think Minnesota can win this game by stacking the box. Teams have tried to do that the first 2 weeks. Ryan Tannehill's carving them up. They're saying, hey, Ryan, I dare you to beat me. And Ryan's like, all right, I'll beat you, I guess. I think Minnesota has to stop Henry with 7. They can't stack the box because Tannehill will carve them up. Minnesota, and by the way, I guess this is Tennessee's keys to victory, so keep carving them up. Keep carving them up. Derrick Henry, I think he's going to run wild with 7. That's just how I think right now. Minnesota's defense is still struggling. They'll be fine. I'm not throwing shade at you, Minnesota, but we knew this is going to be a little bit of turnover this year. It's not surprising. Minnesota will come out with intensity. The 0-2 teams are always come out with some fire, so that is interesting, kind of the mentality. The offense does match up well analytically, like I said before, if they take care of the ball. Tennessee, if you're a Super Bowl threat, you win this game. You win this game, Tennessee. So what kind of mettle do you have mentally? I believe in Tennessee, but we'll see. If Tennessee can stop Cook and Madison, if they can turn Minnesota into one-dimensional like the first 2 games for Minnesota have been, then Tennessee wins this game, no problem. Mismatch for me comes in the passing game. A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Humphries, Smith, they should have nice days. Again, we're talking about the stacking the box factor. If Minnesota tries to stop the pass and takes their chances with Henry, it's really pick your poison. I mean, Tennessee plays very sound, disciplined football, so it's very interesting to me. Now, Minnesota, keys to victory. Minnesota, 20th ranked running offense, not good enough. You know that's not what Minnesota wants to do. That's not what Dalvin Cook wants to be. They will get back to what they do this week. Can Tennessee stop them? Giving up, 6 yards per play defensively? I don't know. So we'll see. Indianapolis' defense might be a little underrated. We're seeing Green Bay Packers' defense pretty good. Is Tennessee as good as those teams? I think they are, but they better prove it this week because Minnesota will run and stick to it. Yards per play advantage, like I said before, goes to Minnesota. Turnovers are killing them. Got to hold on to the ball. They can't go in with a -3 compared to Tennessee. Need to hold on to the ball. Stop the run with 7 in the box. I mentioned before, if you can stop with 7 in the box and drop people into the coverage, things will be a little bit better. Make Ryan Tannehill beat you with precision. Don't let him pick you apart. That's what's been happening all season for Tennessee and all of last season as well, I might add. Involve Madison and thump Tennessee. And when I say thump, I mean run them in, commit to that run, and use Madison to keep Dalvin Cook fresh. That's important. Minnesota comes down with a -3, like I said, turnover margin, just hammering this point home. Come on. You got to do better than that. Let's talk about fantasy football. I do have nice projections on Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, Jonnu Smith, and Derrick Henry, I think, will do good as well. I like this offensive matchup across the board. Minnesota's defense is still kind of sliding at this point. They've had 2 tough games to start the season. They will get better. I still think they're going to be in the playoff chase, but they better fix it up soon. If they go into an 0-3 hole here, that's bad, but they will come out ready to play, so there you go. And speaking of ready to play, I don't have start grades on Cousins, but definitely Dalvin Cook is a yes. Adam Thielen is a yes. And honestly, I stay away from everything else, including the defense. So there you go. There's my game plan. Once again, unbiased. I don't care who wins. I really don't. If you're a fan of this team, you think I'm missing the mark, tell me why. Comment below. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And check out other videos. We did another game plan for the Washington football team versus Cleveland Browns. We'll be back with some more next week. I appreciate you watching. We'll catch you again soon.